New York City, the Big Apple. They say if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. But unfortunately, that opportunity doesn't come cheap. That's why today, I'm gonna be breaking down exactly how much I spend every month living in this great big city with a great big price tag. So today, I'm gonna be breaking down my monthly expenses into 5 major categories. And those categories are housing, food, entertainment, fitness, and transportation. But before I go up and show you how much I pay for my apartment, let's get a quick workout in and talk about just how much it costs to join a gym in New York City. So I'm just getting through a workout here, and I'm not gonna be so loud as to disturb people. But as you can maybe see by the color scheme and the background, I do work out at Equinox, which is extremely expensive, but luckily for me, I get a 50% discount because this location is located in the lobby of my building. I would not have joined Equinox if I didn't get this 50% discount. So with that discount, I pay $130 a month for just this one location. And for me, like I said, it works because it's in the lobby. For others, that might not make sense, but around $100 is the going rate that I've found, at least here in New York City. Home sweet home, baby. All right, so let me give you guys a quick tour of my apartment, and then we'll talk about how much it all costs. So for context, this is actually a studio apartment that we converted into a 3-bedroom using something called flex walls. This giant wall was not there when we moved in, nor was this wall. But to give you a quick tour, this is our bathroom. Fairly standard. We've got a decent common area that I'd like to think we keep fairly clean as 3 young dudes, and we have our kitchen, which again is pretty simple but functional. In here we have 1 bedroom in there, 1 bedroom in there, and this here is my bedroom, which I'll show you guys right now. And please excuse the mess because it is a bit dirty, but this is my room. I'll explain what this is in just a moment, but to give you guys a basic tour, we're looking at about 9 feet by 9 feet, and that's just enough to fit my bed, which is a queen size, my desk with my computer monitor on it, and my dresser, which has no top drawer in it. This is my equipment for the podcast I'm starting soon, be on the lookout for that. And then this over here is my bookshelf, of which I've read probably 3. On this side, we have my TV, which I never use, and this wall, which didn't exist when we first moved into the apartment. More on the flex walls coming in a minute. But before I get to that, let me quickly show you our outdoor terrace, because I think that's actually a unique feature of this apartment. So, right off the back of my buddy's room, we have the terrace, and I will say this is a massive perk because most apartments in New York City don't get this. Out here we have a bench that we use in the summer, a table that we've probably had dinner at one time, and some beautiful views of Manhattan. Over there is Hoboken. Out there, if you can see, is Midtown. And then off to the east, we have some buildings as well. And in all honesty, this is a massive perk, and it helps me stomach the exorbitant amount of rent that we pay. So without further ado, let's get back inside and talk a bit about how much this space actually costs. So just how expensive is this place? Well, as I noted earlier, this is a studio that we turned into a 3-bedroom and we split equally. And the total cost for this studio apartment in Tribeca is $6,900. Split equally, that's $2,300 a month that we each pay, in addition to utility and internet costs of roughly $50 each. Now, unfortunately, that's not all of the expenses that are associated with this unit, because putting up flex walls is not free, and unfortunately, leasing an apartment oftentimes comes with a broker fee. So first on the flex walls, putting these flex walls up cost us $4,000, and that's actually a slight discount to the market rate. In addition to that, we had to pay our broker a fee of roughly $6,000 just to move in. So once you amortize the flex walls and the broker's fee that we paid, I pay on average $2,650 to live in this flex 3-bedroom studio here in Tribeca. And just to end this on a slightly more upbeat note, this right here is what we call the Polar Express. Now, the Polar Express takes what was the single AC unit for the entire studio and splits it up between our 3 rooms. So there's a third of that goes directly into mine. That piece right there goes into my roommates, and this big long tube goes up, all the way across, and down the hall into my other buddy's room. So yeah, those are some of the fun quirks and features of living in downtown Manhattan as a young professional. Now let's move into what I spend in monthly food costs, being brutally honest about how addicted to Uber Eats I am. All right, so let's talk about my monthly food expenses. So I'm gonna break this up into two categories: groceries and takeout. On the grocery side, I'm grateful that I have a very basic palate and I really don't care where I get my food at. So for me, I just optimize for whatever's closest and cheapest. In my case, I have two options. I have a Whole Foods down the block and I have a Target 2 blocks away. I've shopped at the Whole Foods before, and although it definitely has better quality stuff, I always go to Target because my weekly grocery run at Target is around 50 bucks. And if I were to do that at Whole Foods, I think it would cost me like 100. My weekly grocery run is super simple. It's pasta, some chicken, some frozen veggies, maybe some bread, peanut butter and jelly, some eggs, some milk, maybe a couple sweet treats in the mix, like a pint of ice cream or like a sleeve of Chips Ahoy. I'm not getting anything that's particularly very expensive. What I will say is that I used to live near a Trader Joe's. And if you can get to a Trader Joe's, I don't care what city or what state you're in, you gotta check the place out. Now, on the other side of this is takeout orders, and that usually comes in the form of Uber Eats. Actually, it's not takeout, it's delivery. But I usually get delivery twice a week, and that typically coincides with nights where I work late and come home and want to have food already waiting for me, and those usually cost $25 a pop. So between $50 a week on groceries and $50 a week on Uber Eats, I'm spending roughly $400 a month in food expenses. And then just one last thing to note, I'm not counting eating out like at restaurants in this expense category. I'm gonna count that next in the entertainment bucket. And the reason for that is because I never eat out at restaurants by myself. I'm always doing it to celebrate an occasion or go out with friends, or in the case of this evening, for a date night with my girlfriend, who refuses to get on camera, but maybe we'll see if that'll change in the future. I am running a little bit late, so let me get up, change into something a little more presentable, and head down to the subway where we can talk a little bit about my monthly transportation costs. All right, what do you guys think? I would date me. Shit, I would at least give myself a chance. All right, so we are officially down in the New York City subway system, and although it can be a bit dodgy at times, it is way cheaper than taking an Uber. It costs $3 every time you want to ride the subway, no matter how far you want to go, and I take this thing 10 times a week. Twice a day, 5 days a week, to and from work. And then on the weekends, I typically Uber. So all in, I'm gonna bucket my monthly transportation costs, both subways and Ubers, at around 250 bucks. So unfortunately, I couldn't convince my girlfriend to get on camera, but I promise she's real, and we had an awesome date night last night in the West Village. We got sushi. I'll put some footage up on the screen right now. And the West Village is a more expensive area of New York City for sure, so the prices might be a little inflated, but for our dinner and a bottle of wine, it was $275, including tip. Sometimes I treat, sometimes she treats, sometimes we split, but we try to do one date per week, which comes out to 4 dates per month. And just so you guys know, a beer in New York City will run you around 10 bucks, and a glass of wine on average is about 20. So if you want to buy a round for like you and your 7 friends, just be prepared to spend around 100 bucks. And although I don't always do it on a monthly basis, I'm also including in this bucket expenses like tickets to Yankees games, or trips to the movies, or checking out the Museum of Natural History. So all in all, between dates and some of those other miscellaneous entertainment expenses that I noted, I'm gonna put my monthly entertainment expense at around $600. Now, the real question here is whether or not this is all worth it, because it's no secret that Manhattan is an expensive city. And for me, I think I would say yes and no. At the end of the day, my career brought me to Manhattan, and there's no question that the professional opportunities here are second to none. And then also on the social side, there's no shortage of things to do in this city. But ultimately, I know that this phase of my life is temporary. And although I would love to save a little more money every month, I am hopeful that the memories that I make here and the professional skills that I'm learning here will serve me well later in life. And if any of you guys are from New York City, let me know down in the comments if you think it's worth it or not. And if you're not from around here, let me know where you're from. I grew up in the suburbs, so this is a far cry from what I'm used to. But anyways, thanks so much for watching. Consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next week.